I apologize.
No.
That's me. Just
Yeah.
saving this
No.
for our records.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, in fact, what I did is I just highlighted and made my blue check mark be on approved. And then I clicked
Oh,
on,
on approved. Okay.
yes, yeah, and then I clicked on date to get it to go in chronological order.
Okay.
And then I was looking at my calendar on ESS, picked a date and made sure that they're on there.
Okay. I'll have to look again. If nothing's showing up for me, I must be doing something wrong. Okay, thank you. I'll have to mess with that again. But I'm sure it's the same thing that's happening to us.
And I just want to apologize because we do not have access to AESOP. So
No.
we do not know what is happening on that side. We don't understand that system. We can't help you navigate through that because we've never seen that software. So that is a bit of a disadvantage for us to help you. So I do want to apologize for that, but we are at a total loss when it comes to that software.
Yes, and I'll ask a question for everyone if you don't mind. That I know that we're running into an issue where a teacher was out. They got sick at 5:30 in the morning, and they didn't get to Frontline, and they can't go back in time on Frontline. So therefore, it's not going to ESS. So I know we can elevate in ESS, but we want them to go that direction. We want it to go to Frontline AESOP and talk backwards to ESS like it's supposed to. But if it's after the fact, well, I guess Roxanne, what are you guys doing on it? Have you had any of those?
Yeah, and Joy, my payroll person,
Yep.
she gave me the impression when we were talking about this that our staff is able to put in prior date.
Yeah,
But
see, we weren't able to. It was like after 24 hours, we're not able to. As far
yeah,
as I know, we haven't
yeah,
been in Frontline.
yeah, our staff, there'll be several that, like, if they miss today, they
Yep.
might not put it in for 3 days
And you're talking about in AESOP.
in AESOP, yes.
Because I asked our contact at Frontline, and he said that is correct. After it's like 24 hours or so, sometimes a little longer, you cannot enter after that. But you're telling me you guys can. Okay.
And
Yeah.
I just put in chat a link to the AESOP navigation user manual. Again, we don't support AESOP. We don't work for Frontline. I've never even been in an AESOP application, but I've been using this manual quite a bit just because I found it on Google. So the resource is out there. And if I click in this manual, and let me share my screen here. All right. So if everybody can see, oh,
Yeah.
it's sharing the right one. Can you guys see the manual? I'm scrolling up and down.
Yeah.
Okay, because my other screen looks like I'm sharing something else. I just did a control find and put in past, and there is a past absence relative offset and past absence specific date. So there might be some configurations here in your organization setting. So that's something that you may want to
Thank you.
reach out to Frontline and ask them if this is an adjustment that you can make to allow you to put in
Maybe we don't have it. Okay.
absences.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that was where was I just there? Under organization settings. So I'd recommend checking there first, because that might be something that you can easily update to have the ability to put those in.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. And thank you for working together. I absolutely love that. You guys supporting each other. So thank you so much. Please keep asking questions. And this is time for you to use this for yourself. So ask away, please.
Hey, Bree.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
I was just going to say real quick that Julie, our treasurer, had called about the last question, and they did tell her it is user settings, and I think they helped walk her through how to change that for us, because now I think ours is like 48 hours after the absence.
Excellent.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much for sharing, Katie.
Yep.
I have a question. We have
another Katie. Hi.
Hi. We have leaves that have been downloaded historically, like back in July, August. into USAS. They're done. They're a done deal. They've been approved and they're showing up in ESS now as not approved. Like their blue is not approved, right?
Correct. So were these leave requests that were in kiosk that were exported into USPS?
Yeah, they would have had to have been because they
Okay.
are in US, they're done. They were processed before the conversion.
Okay, then there's some sort of setting in AESOP that is allowing it to pull leaves that were already exported. And it was my understanding that leaves that have an exported status would not come into AESOP or not flow into AESOP from kiosk. So that is something that you may want to, and I hate to be a broken record here, but reach out to AESOP support because if they're pulling leaves, and those would have been in kiosk, exported out of kiosk into ESS, and then at some point during the conversion, AESOP pulled the information out of ESS back in, or I'm sorry, out of kiosk. I'm using the terms interchangeably. I'm sorry. AESOP took the information that was originally in kiosk and brought it back into AESOP. And now ESS doesn't see that these leaves were already exported and it's feeding the information or eating the information that AESOP is feeding it. So if that's the case and the leaves have already been charged against somebody's leave balance in USPS, we don't want those in ESS at all. We don't want those to have the ability to be exported again and double charge somebody for a leave. So I would definitely reach out to AESOP, ask them why leaves are showing in AESOP as pending approval when they've already been fully approved and were exported, because that's most likely another setting somewhere in your school or organization settings that would need adjusted for that. As far as
I
the
didn't think
ESS, oh, go ahead.
I didn't think data moved because remember data, I thought we were told that data didn't flow the same way that it flowed with
It
kiosk.
It doesn't. So what you have in AESOP goes to ESS, but what's in ESS doesn't come into AESOP. But this is and the caveat here is you put these leaves into kiosk. So the leaves were originally in kiosk and kiosk did talk to AESOP. So if the leaves were in kiosk and exported out of kiosk into USPS, but AESOP doesn't see the exported flag that was in kiosk, it's going to try and pull those old leaves that were already approved and already exported into its own application. And now you've got a triangle situation where what started in kiosk went to AESOP, and then what's now in AESOP is going to ESS, and from ESS it's going to go to USPS, but it's already there. It's already in USPS, and the leave balances would have already applied. So they don't need to be in ESS at all pending for re-export. So that's where I think there's a miscommunication between AESOP and kiosk. Has nothing to do with ESS sending information to AESOP. It's what kiosk sent to AESOP and AESOP reading it incorrectly. Because if it was exported into USPS, it would have had an exported status, and therefore it should not have gone in as a new leave request and viewing into AESOP. I know that's a lot of circles. Did that make any sense? Were you able to follow me in my talk there?
About half of
Okay.
that.
Okay. Well, sorry, I dropped my pen.
Is it possible to export them again, but not actually load them into USPS? Because we have the same problem here.
We are
Yes,
as well at Bridgeport.
you can export out of ESS and into a spreadsheet and not upload that spreadsheet into USPS. If you select and I'm going to now go in, oh, there's my demo that's not working. I'm going to go into OME-RESA's ESS here. Everybody see where I am? You see an ESS screen up?
Bree,
Yes, Lori.
there's a comment
Oh.
from Tracy,
Okay.
and she said that she too was having flow issues like everyone, and what she managed to do was just for housekeeping was export the past data into a CSV file and just did not upload them into USPS.
And dump it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how she got around it.
Because once we get past the old data phase, we won't have this issue, right? It's just an initial
Yeah, there's no more information
conversion issue.
from another application that will be going into AESOP. AESOP's like a one-way street. Once it pulled all that last information out of kiosk, there's nowhere else for us to feed information into ES or into AESOP. It's only sending information out and
So we
out
do
to
this down,
ESS.
we do this download once, it'll probably fix the issue. We'll be over it then.
Yeah, if you go into leave management and then you can export your leave requests, when you select this export leave request button, just choose CSV file and export, and then you can basically dump that file into your archives anywhere that you want to save that.
Okay.
If you hit direct to USPS, it's going to send it over to USPS as if you use that attendance module, which you do not want to do. So just make sure you put it in a CSV file. It will flag all of those leaves in here as exported so that they cannot be exported again, or should not be. I've got an open ticket with another district on that. But once it has an exported status in ESS, it should not be able to be exported again. So thank you,
Does
Lori.
the exported status change a different color similar to kiosk? So
It
blue.
turns black.
Okay.
Yes. So if I just bring up our leave calendar here and give you a quick glance, all of those blacks are exported. Anything that's green is approved, but not exported. And then blue indicates that it's initiated, but it's not fully complete. It's not approved at that point. Good question. Thank you.
Hey, Brianne, the
Yes.
other issue we're having is a rounding issue for our leave when it comes over to ESS. And we called Frontline this morning and they said it is not an AESOP issue, that this has got to be on the ESS side. They checked our settings are correct. They're not rounding. Everything's rounding to 0.25, 0.5, or 1 day.
So Kathy, I know I have a ticket with you on this issue, and I had sent some images where an employee had actually put in their
Right,
leave request began in the morning.
I
Oh,
understand
That was
that was one employee.
okay.
It's not,
everybody's coming that way.
yeah.
And according to Frontline, when they look, it will post in Frontline correctly as 0.37 or
Yeah.
0.42. But then when it pops over, it
It's
gives us the
rounding.
whole half day, which is really gonna screw up my leave incentive if I try to pull them over that way.
Absolutely. So I had asked if
Pretty
you
much
could give me
everybody.
another name, if there were other employees. Do you happen to have an example for me that
Yeah,
I
today,
can view?
Megan Ritchie.
Okay, thank you. Let me bring up your ESS, and I've got this on a separate screen because I don't want to share your district's information or anybody's personal information with the whole group here. So I apologize again that we can't all view this together, but hopefully we can talk it out. Okay, and I'm sorry, could I have that last name again?
GRITCHEA.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
She was 0.46 in AESOP and she came over as 0.5.
Okay, so I am now using the left side menu here under leave request. I am going to view district leave. I'm not looking at the calendar. It's a matter of personal preference. Some people absolutely love the calendar. I like a grid. I'm kind of a spreadsheet girl, not like Lori, who's a spreadsheet guru and queen, but visually this helps me out. So I am under view district leave under leave request. All right, and trying to find her here. Last name started with a G. Was that correct? I don't see.
It's R, it's Ritchie.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, there she is. And I see a bunch of approved leaves for her. Let me take a look here. I'm
It's
opening.
October 3rd.
Okay, let me look at her October 3rd one then. Okay. And when I look at this and scroll through the leave request details, it's showing me the total time requested was 0.5.
And
But you're
that's
telling
not,
me
yeah,
that's not
that
correct.
is not correct. It's 0.46 in AESOP.
Okay.
But almost every single employee, this is an issue with, unless they request a full day. If they're
Okay.
requesting a partial day, it's rounding, no matter who it is.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
having the same issue. I talked to Frontline on that, and I don't know if this will answer that. Because we had quarter days going over to ESS as half days. So Frontline said, so a teacher is 7.5 hours or whatever your teacher is, 7:15, 7.5, 7:45. And then we'd have to go, they'd have to enter in an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and 52 minutes for it to transfer to ESS as a quarter of a day. Because they were putting in quarter day, it said quarter day, but the hours weren't right in AESOP, so it was recognizing it as a half day in ESS,
And they're
Well,
paid
we-
as a daily employee, not an hourly employee.
the daily.
Hmm.
When we talked to Frontline this morning, they told us that our settings are correct and it is not an AESOP issue, so I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
And we don't
Sorry, I
have
missed that.
quarter and half days. We have any portion of a day.
Yeah,
So
it can take a minute,
Okay,
but.
gotcha.
yeah.
And the other thing I'm just going to take a quick peek at here, under Bel Air's system, I'm going to go to System Configuration, and I'm going to your leave time configuration. And just to confirm here, for both daily increments and hourly increments, you have no restrictions. And what that means is a lot of districts can set this to 1 day, half day, or quarter day, meaning that all leave increments need to be, or leaves need to be taken within those increments. And that is not the case for you. There are no restrictions. So as you said, it should be able to go in by the minute. All right, so I have a better understanding here, but not an answer. So another thing I am going to do, I am going to go into the JIRA dashboard for the SSDT, and I need to log out so that I look like nobody. Okay, and let me refresh my page. Oh, you know what, let me bring it over here. All right, so let me go to the JIRA dashboard. And this is showing me the projects that the SSDT currently has going on. And in here, I want to look at some of the employee self-service feedback. So what they've been receiving from all other districts of what's going on. And let's see what they have as far as AESOP feedback that we have here. The only one they have is to add a warning message to the AESOP records when a leave request for the same day already exists. There's no other feedback that they currently have open, including the phrase AESOP. So it doesn't look like, let's see, let me try increments. And nope, just a feedback request for a district to have leave increments be different for different types of employees, certified, classified, or full part-time. So it doesn't look like other ITCs are encountering this issue. But I've got multiple users here. Andy's having that issue. Kathy and Steve are having that issue in Bel Air. Do we have any other districts reporting the same issue where you have a leave in AESOP for something different than a full rounding quarter, full, or half day that's coming over into ESS incorrectly?
I don't know if this would count, but we noticed that if they don't, like if they were taking a half day or a quarter day and the leave request wasn't updated to say AM to AM or PM to PM, it's coming over as an entire day.
Yeah, and
So
that was an issue
that was
that,
one of our people that had that
yeah.
issue.
Yeah, so that's something you may want to instruct your users to be very careful with the time entries that they select, or there should be a configuration within AESOP here for, let's see, oh, I didn't want to do that, for your start and end times.
Yeah, they said that's how we have to fix it. We have to go one by one to every teacher and put in their start and leave times.
In
to
their
correct
employee
that.
settings,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. So that will cause a lot of grief to get that set up originally to go, but when they actually put in those leave requests, then you won't be dealing with the grief on the opposite end of charging somebody a whole day when they may have only taken a half hour or an hour of leave. So unfortunately, there's not a nice table of contents, and this isn't super friendly to navigate through. So let me get past the organization settings. Please look away if you suffer from seizures. I'm scrolling kind of fast here. School settings. Okay, let me go down to employee settings. So that, there we are, employee settings, so that we can all see what Katie's referring to in here. Here we go. So in an employee setting, you select their shift type, notify or designate if they're daily or hourly. And then later on down, you should be able to set their start and end times for their regular shift. And that is general information. Okay. Somewhere in here, permissions, skills, absence vacancy files, absence reasons for them, and their preferred subs. I would have assumed we would have come across it by now. But there is somewhere in the employee settings an option to select their default start and end times. So that may be a project that you want to keep on the side to or to update all of those employees. I'm sorry, Lori, did you have something to add? Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. That said, I do want to go back to the ESS application because the same thing does exist in here for your non-AESOP employees. I'm going to go to myself down here in the bottom left corner. You see my name in my OME-RESA ESS file. And if I click on that, I can either sign out or update my profile. If I click on profile in here, I can set my default start and leave times so that when I submit a new request, I don't have to fill out the start and end time. It's already in there for me, and then I can adjust it if it's less than a full day. So that's something that you can also mention to your non-AESOP staff that they may want to update just for their own convenience. But yes.
Bree, there's a chat question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
It's
can't
okay.
see the chat. It ran away
Would you
from
like
me.
me to read it?
Oh, there we go. Let me just move it over to my other screen here. All right, Andy has a question here. I know there's been talk of the ESS having its own AESOP. However, will ESS be like kiosk and talk to Frontline or Frontline AESOP? When you say ESS having its own AESOP, can you clarify that for me
Yeah,
a bit?
yeah.
Are you talking about?
In the beginning, when this was laid out, I know that there was ESS was hoping in the future it would have its own ASOP attached to it. However, I know that's not ready, and it probably won't be ready for a while. But I know Kiosk talked to Frontline directly, so we had all of our employees entering in Kiosk only, and it went to Frontline. Well, ESS, is that their goal to have that happen just like Kiosk did at some point?
Yes and no. Yes to the first part with a sub calling feature, not the entire ASOP application, but there is talk of developing a sub calling module within ESS. However, I don't expect that to come anytime within this school year at all. I would be surprised if we had that in place by the beginning of next school year. So I would not rely on ESS to replace that sub-calling application piece for you yet, but it is something that they're working on. However, being realistic and knowing that ESS had an original completion expectation date of July 1st. And here we are now, just after October 1st, actually getting all of the districts up and running and still having a little couple kinks and bumps along the way. I really would not hold that as a high possibility for the start of next school year, maybe 2026. But that's speculation at this point. I can't say for sure because I'm not part of the development team. But I do know that it is something they are actively pursuing and they are going to work on developing. But right now, the main focus from the SSDT is to get the version of ESS that we have right now up, running, functional, and bug-free for everybody before they start building on top of it. The second piece of that question, having ESS talk to AESOP, that was the original plan, was to have ESS work just like kiosk so that you didn't have to go set up extra flows in AESOP and you didn't have to use both applications if you needed subcalling. They wanted ESS to work exactly the same way that kiosk did, where you put all your leave requests, or have the ability, I should say, to put all of your leave requests into ESS, and then it goes over to AESOP and AESOP calls out and then comes back and goes back to ESS. Through the development process, about halfway through, there was a roadblock that the developers hit between the SSDT developers that are working on ESS and Frontline AESOP. There was some concern regarding rest handling, and that's a little bit too technical beyond my knowledge, but the rest handles that the ESS built didn't satisfy Frontline's requirements. So Frontline then made the decision to reject the ESS application flow and said they would only send information from AESOP into ESS. So what was possibly a bilinear street, omnidirectional, where information went both ways all the time, was shut down to just a one-way street where information would flow only from AESOP into ESS and does not go upstream. So I don't foresee that piece ever changing because that's nothing that's within the state software development team's control. That was all dictated by Frontline as a third party, and they have absolutely every right to do so, but we have to work within the parameters that they gave us. So that said, I don't see ESS ever sending leave requests over to AESOP the same way that Kiosk did.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Brianne. Sorry for that loaded question. So they're
No,
not they're not salmon. They won't go upstream.
Right. Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
no bears up there to catch those fish jumping up the little waterfalls. Yeah, I'm glad you asked the question, Andy, because I think it's something that wasn't really communicated clearly. So we were all kind of under the impression like, well, ESS is supposed to be exactly like kiosk. Now, why do I have all of these extra pieces that I need to put in and completely change the experience for half of my users in requiring all of my teachers now to use the AESOP application where they may not have before? So it's absolutely a perfect valid question. I'm glad you asked it. And I hope that everybody can understand where we're coming from in the answer that I'm giving. And I know it's not ideal. It's not exactly what we wanted. It's not what you want, but it's where we are. So we kind of have to make the best of this situation. And knowing that the state now is going to be working on developing that call out piece within this application for the future. Good question. Thanks.
Hey, Brianne,
Yes. Hi,
quick
Eric.
general question here. So let's say a teacher puts in a leave in AESOP and this leave gets fully approved, syncs over, turns green in ESS.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that said teacher, needs to cancel this leave.
Mm-hmm.
Do they go in AESOP and
Yes.
cancel it and then it will sync over? Or
Yes.
how will that work?
If a leave request goes into AESOP, everything needs to happen within AESOP. So that means it's initiated in AESOP, it's approved in AESOP, and then any follow-up action to have that edited or canceled needs to happen within AESOP as well. What will then happen, AESOP will send notification to ESS that the leave has been canceled, and it will update the status in ESS. If I utilize the employee self-service user manual here and take a look. Let me move my little chat out of the way. Let me go down to, and I just want to point out here on the screen, the menu options in the ESS user manual are meant to mirror the options right here in ESS. So if you're looking for information on a specific piece, you kind of know what is above and below to find where you need to navigate to, or just use this handy dandy search feature, which is what I usually do. But I know I'm looking for AESOP, so I'm going to go right here to Frontline AESOP. And there's a nice grid halfway right here down the initial piece that shows how information displays in AESOP and how it's going to display in ESS. So if a leave status in AESOP is rejected or canceled, it will now update and show canceled in ESS. The user would not have the ability to edit, and you should not have the ability either to edit a leave request in ESS that initiated within the AESOP application. You can view it and you can export it, but it's a read-only function. So you wouldn't even have the ability in ESS to go in and cancel that request. It has to be done within AESOP, and then AESOP communicates back to ESS that it was canceled, and it'll update there. Good question.
Appreciate it. So another one then to
Mhm.
follow up.
Excellent.
Let's say said teacher puts in leave for, maybe he's having surgery, puts in leave for 2 weeks straight in
Mhm.
AESOP. It's over the winter. There was a snow day, calamity day.
Okay.
Of that bundle, do you know in AESOP if they can cancel one of those days of the bundle? Or
That I
because
am
I know it's
not
kind of an issue in kiosk
positive.
if I
That's a
recall.
really good question.
Um,
Now
because we
in
might have a
AESOP,
set teacher and we need to let them know, hey, you need
mhm.
by one, or kind of what the best process is to cause least amount of hassle, I guess.
In AESOP, do you have the ability to go in and enter blackout dates, holiday dates, and calamity days?
If I
Not
I do
sure.
not know, I'll have
Okay.
to do some
Yeah,
digging
and
on that.
I don't know either, to be honest with you. So let me see.
It's okay.
Calamity.
If you don't know, I'll reach out to
I don't.
ASOP then,
Let me check blackout.
and try and get it squared away.
No,
I know for us, when we have a calamity day occur, that AESOP is the one that takes care of that, going in for anybody that, be it that they turned it in as a bundle or just for that day, but they go in and notify the subs, and then they they change something in AESOP, so it makes it not charge a leave against that employee for that calamity day.
Thank you, Roxanne. And Jody Stapleton added to chat as well. Yes, I believe so. So she's concurring with Roxanne that you should be able to update that within AESOP.
Okay, and then another question that we
Mhm.
had was, say for our new hires now, trying to figure out best practice there. So
Mhm.
we put the new hires in payroll.
Mhm.
Now getting them set up in ESS, does that sync?
Um,
Or, and then for Frontline, do we have to go in and manually, for AESOP, do we have to manually create them an account in there, or how does that all talk, if at all?
yes, you will have to set up the user in AESOP. And right now in ESS, you have to manually add them into the ESS application too. However, it's a really easy process. So again, let me just refresh my demo to make sure that I can't show you in my hand. No, okay, it's still not working. So I'm going to bring up OME-RESA here, and I am going to go to users and users. And from here's all our employees. But if I hit create, I just want to hide all of our employees' names real quick. If I go to user here, this is going to show me all active users that are currently in USPS if I click this drop down arrow. So if you added a new user into USPS, and it's more than a day later, and I'll show you if it's less than a day or you just did it in just a second here. You would click this drop down arrow, select the employee, and it'll fill out their information. Everything except this box right here, the username. The only thing we're going to need you to do is highlight the email, copy and paste it right here into username, and then hit this create button. And then the user's in here. You don't have to add any information as far as their position, their workflows, or any of that. That's all determined based on what is already entered in USPS. So if you select the employee, hit create, and add them, they're now in ESS, simple as that. And they should be able to start putting in leave requests and have those flow through the proper group chain based on what's on their position screen. Now, as I said, there's a couple little things we do want to address with that. And let me go here to system and then USPS data sync. And the reason I said if you put an employee in payroll yesterday, they'll be in here now, is because this situation, or I'm sorry, this application only syncs with USPS once a day, and usually at like 2 or 3 in the morning. You can see OME-RESA synced with our USPS application at 3 this morning. If I add somebody into USPS right now, and then I want to go over immediately and add them into ESS, they're not going to appear in that drop-down menu. I need to hit sync positions and then sync leave balances. This sync positions takes a minute, like 5. So you just have to be patient. That one went really quick, so that's good. But OME-RESA is a really small office. We have less than 30 employees. Some of you guys in your districts have 700 or more. So when you hit that sync position button, it can take a little bit longer. You just need to give that some time. And now what that's done is ESS has synced directly with USPS, and it can pull their position information over, know what positions are eligible for leave, know what types of leave they're eligible for, and what group chains they should belong in. So they can go ahead and start putting in their leave requests as needed. And then once they receive a first paycheck and a first W-2, those will be available for them to see up here under view print payslip and view print W-2 as well. Now, as far as adding the new user into ESS, they're in and their workflows are in, but they need to be able to get in. So there's 2 ways that you can reset a password for somebody so that they can access the application. The first is for you to do it on their behalf. You go back to users, and I'm going to quickly filter to myself here. All right, so Brianne, I filtered down to Brianne's a new employee here, and I want to reset her email, or I'm sorry, reset her password. By resetting, it's going to send me that same email that all of you guys got in the original beginning here. It says you have a new account in ESS. Here's your temporary password, and here's the link to reset it. In order to initiate that email and send it, I click the box next to the individual and then hit this bulk reset password button. It will show me who it's resetting and who it's going to email. I only want the one individual, so I'm only selecting that, and I can hit confirm to send it or close to back out of it and send it on its way. So nothing actually happens. If you do not have this filtered, you have all employees, and you click this button to select everybody and bulk reset password, you're going to have a very bad afternoon because you're going to get a lot of emails and a lot of questions of people wanting to know why their password was reset when they didn't request it. So keep in mind, you only want to select the individual that you're resetting the password for. The second option you can have the employee reset their password themselves. And let me bring up the ESS documentation for that. Right in the user manual, the very first page here, it shows you how somebody can reset their password. They can do it themselves. From this login page, if you go to Forgot Password and click it, this is going to come up asking them for their username. They'll type in their email address, which is their new username, and then the system will send them the email that way. They click the link and it brings them to that same reset password where they can type it in, and then that will give them access. And I have a question here from Andy. One more question. When employees enter absences in bulk, is there a way it does block all of the days together in the calendar? A way it does block all the days together. Not quite sure I follow, Andy. Can you speak to that? What you mean by blocking all the days together? I think I have an idea. Yeah, but he wants it to not block or block them all. So if I put in a leave request for multiple days, then I want to put all these in and I hit create. Oh, yeah, too many errors all at once. So say I'm going to put in a vacation day starting Monday next week, and I'm not coming back until Wednesday. Longer than a week? Okay. We'll go to the following Monday. So I want Monday through the following Monday off, and I'm only going to take 7 days here. We'll say 8 days. And I create my request. It brings up a calendar for me and automatically deselects the weekends. It does not include the weekends. How does it do that? The system just knows that Monday through Friday is the standard business working day. It does not have a default calendar by employee. Rather, it uses a Monday through Friday business operating module. So it will take the first, oh yeah, and I said 8 days, but it's only going to give me the days that I actually want in here. So I would know then, hey, I'm only going to be taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days off, but I put in 8. If I need to charge those days on a weekend, I can add that. Or if I'm taking some days in one week and some days the next week, I just enter them on that calendar that pops up on the next window. So I'm not sure if that answered your question, Andy. Sorry. We have another note here, Bridgeport as well. Missy, is that Bridgeport with the rounding issues? Oh, alphabetical order for calendar. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's for further on in the chat then. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate you monitoring that. Yeah, that's actually an active job they're doing now. So great. Eric, do you have another question? Thought you were unmuted. Sorry, is there someone there?
Hey, Brianne,
Yes.
back to the block of days there that you were dealing with.
Yes.
Kiosk would not let you separate. If they went in as a block of 5 days, kiosk wouldn't let you separate and say, hey, one day comes up. Can we do that in ESS and say, hey, take Wednesday out of there because I actually came to work that day?
Yeah, I can. Absolutely. So I can change this down to 0, although I selected Thursday instead. And I can say I'm taking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Monday off. And that's one block with a day in the middle that I'm actually working.
I actually mean once it's already posted into ESS. Can I go in after the fact and say I want to cancel Wednesday out of my week? Only. Kiosk cancel.
I know you couldn't in kiosk, but I believe that you can in ESS if you edit. So let's go to leave requests within the documentation here. Leave request, and I'm going to look at edit leave requests. And once the request has been approved through the entire workflow, it'll change to approved. Once approved, you can no longer edit the request. That's contradictory information to what we received earlier. You know, I'm going to reach out and ask that question to the SSDT, and I will send that as a follow-up email to the entire ESS distribution so we all know if you can edit a chain or if you have to cancel and resubmit. All right, I don't have an answer, but I will get it for you.
Bree, I have a
Yeah.
question that kind of piggybacks on that. Back to how I said, like, if someone put in, you know, they were wanted to be off 7 to 9 in the morning, but put 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and it took it as a whole day. Are we going to have access to where we can go in and edit that request, or do we have to rely on the user to go in and cancel that request? Or
You can cancel a request on behalf of somebody, but you cannot edit their request. The user would have to edit that. Unless it's a request that initiated in AESOP, you may have the ability to edit requests in AESOP. I'm not sure, but I know within the ESS application, you cannot edit someone else's request once it's been, well, initiated at all. You can't edit it.
okay.
So.
Thank you.
But if that's something that you think you need that would be beneficial, just put in a ticket and I can put in an enhancement request to the state to have that reviewed and possibly implemented then.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate the
did have-
questions.
I have one more question. We
Okay.
had a teacher reach out to us that said she received, when she put her leave request, it would have been an AESOP. Her married name is showing up on ESS and AESOP, but when she made that leave request and got the confirmation email, it reverted back to her maiden name. That may be an AESOP question, but
I would say since the email is initiating out of AESOP, it's most likely from the employee settings within AESOP. It might still have her old maiden name and not her married name in her AESOP employee settings.
okay.
So I would check there. But nowhere else within USPS or ESS do you see that maiden name. Am I correct? It's just,
Correct.
okay.
Yes.
That would be my guess. If that's not the case, let us know and we can dig into that further. But if the email's coming from AESOP, that's probably an AESOP setting that needs to be altered then. And it's probably from that employee setting screen.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Brianne,
Hey, Brand,
Yes.
just one quick one. It's more of a housekeeping one.
Okay.
Back in the beginning, when you had us on the tab, the navigation tab of absence management, and there was data import view, data sync view. You were on data sync view, and then on data sync view, it has absence reason sync, school sync, employee sync. It looks like that automatically does it for you. Is that advantageous for us to go in there and hit that every so often, or we don't need to?
You do not need to. AESOP is currently integrating with ESS every hour,
Okay.
and there is a feedback request to increase that to every 15 minutes.
Good, because I know that in kiosk, Jeff and
It was
Mary
hit or miss. Yeah.
used to say that go in there periodically and do it just to make sure you're up to date. Okay.
No.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, that's nothing that you need to manually do unless you're in that window where you know something was altered or changed in AESOP and you don't see it in ESS and it's before the next sync window. You have that
Okay.
option to go ahead
Thank
and do
you.
it.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. And then Eric, I believe you had a question?
Yeah, so in ESS, on the ESS side of things for a supervisor when they go in to approve, does it show the employee's leave balances before they approve? So that
Not
we
at
don't,
this point in time, but I have a feedback request already into the state for that. So let me go ahead and I'm going to alter that feedback request and add you as requesting that, if you don't mind,
definitely.
so that we can, okay,
And
and here,
Harrison.
all right, Harrison, okay, okay. Anyone else here think that that would be a beneficial enhancement to see what an individual's leave balance is as a supervisor before? Okay, I see Tracy added in
Yeah,
chat.
add
Thank
the
you.
letter.
Dover for sure, yes,
Okay.
Philly
100%.
for sure.
All right. I'm sorry. Who was the last one after Dover?
Philly, New
Okay.
Philly.
Thanks, Katie. Okay.
Hilaire too.
Carrollton
Okay.
too. Carrollton too.
Okay. Excellent. This makes me so happy. Good. Because the more I can have them increase the times requested, the higher it moves on the priority list and the more likely it is to be implemented a little sooner for them to add it to their roadmap. Excellent. So I will add all of you guys then as requesting that enhancement. So hopefully soon a supervisor will have the ability to see that. One thing I do want to address though that has come up in some tickets and even here in OME-RESA right now, because you as a supervisor cannot see someone's leave balance when they put in a request, there was a concern that you could approve requests that take somebody's leave into the negative. So I just want to show here under OME-RESA's system configuration, there is an option here under system configuration for me to go to leave type configuration. And this is the information that was imported over from Kiosk. So if you had this set originally, it's exactly the same as it was. But here's where you can select the types of leaves you have available, if you're going to require a reason, if you need expenses like we do for professional leave and so on. But it's this last column here that I want everybody to pay attention to, because this is something we actually made a modification to here in our office because the supervisors can't see that leave balance right now. So we disallowed negative balances for personal leave, sick leave, and vacation leave. So therefore, our director does not need to worry about approving leaves for somebody that's going to cause them to use more than what they actually have in their balance. So until that is in place, this is something you may want to consider as not necessarily a workaround, but a little stopgap to try and hold that bleeding in so that you don't have that set of issues on top of everything else. So I hope that helps. All right, good question.
Okay,
That's, oh, go ahead.
okay, I have two questions, Brianne.
Yes.
On ESS, you used to be able to go in and you could do a mass approval.
Mhm.
I don't see that you can do that now, so it doesn't bother me because I'm not approving that
Oh.
many, but my superintendent, you know, if he's got to do that,
Mhm.
go individually to 20 some people, that's going to be time consuming.
Let me show you a trick because there is an option to mass approve leaves right now.
Okay.
And I don't have leave approval on myself here because I don't have any subordinates, so I don't have the option to approve anybody's. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah. Missy Valkoski is going to take over the screen sharing here. Oh, yeah. Let's do it there. There's 3 places that you can see leave requests right now as an approver. The first place would be on your home screen. So when you log in here on the home screen, it'll show you the list of all outstanding leaves waiting for approval. From here, you cannot mass approve. Okay, she'll get there for us. Here, you don't have the option to mass approve. This is where your superintendent's probably getting frustrated because they have to go in and approve these one by one. But there's another option under the side here, and let me bring up leave request approval will show under leave calendars. As you see under leave calendars, I don't have that because I don't approve anybody's request. Oh, go ahead, just take over. Missy Valkoski is going to share her screen now so we can see somebody actually with leave approval. There we go. Yes, now I can. Excellent. So from here, Missy, show them under the sub-coordinator, your leave request approval. There we go. Oh, but there's an option to approve here. If she had a bunch, you can select just
Okay.
one, or you can click this button to select all, and then you can approve.
Okay,
So
if there would be, say, out of that 20, if there would be one within that group that did not have enough time available, do you know if it would approve the other 19 and just kick out the one, or it just won't take any of them?
my assumption it would be kicking out just that one and approve all the others. But that's an assumption. I don't know firsthand from experience. So if you encounter that issue and it denies all of them, please let me know, because that's not friendly functioning. That's not the way the system should be working. And I'd like to pass that on to the developers and have that changed. So for now, I would operate under the assumption that it's going to approve the 19 and kick back the one. But if anybody experiences anything different, please let me know right away. And we'll try and get that adjusted.
Great, great. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So, all right, I'll take back over here.
But Roxanne, let me just add to that. I'm going to put in a request enhancement, because I think if the email is sent out telling a approver that they have leaves to approve, they should be able to click on the link and it should take them to the screen where you can mass approve. I don't understand why that link didn't take everybody right to where they need to be. And I'm going to, if you don't mind, put in a request for enhancement so that that email takes you to the correct place.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That would be great.
I think you already have one in, so we can add.
I will double check on that, but
Yeah.
Andy, was that you said that would be okay too?
Yeah, absolutely. We would want
Okay,
that. Yeah.
awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. All right, and so I mentioned there were 3 places you could see these leave approvals. If I log out here, let me see. Do I have escalated leave approval here? Yes, I do. Okay, so the third place that you can see these, there's the home and then there's the leave requests. Then we have escalated approval right here under leave management. In this location, this should be used and it only is there for leave managers. So you guys in your office, your supervisors are not going to have this, but your fiscal office should be, and anybody that's going to be exporting leaves out of ESS should have this. But within the escalated approval, here you also have the option to mass approve leaves. One, several, or all can be done. What this escalated leave approval does is it totally bypasses the workflow. It interrupts the group chain and things no longer continue to flow to the tiered supervisors for approval. Instead, you've stepped in and you've taken over and said, no, I'm going to interrupt it now and just grab it and approve it, or grab it and reject it. So you guys as leave managers have that option, and within that option, you can also mass approve.
Thanks, Brian. Hey, real quick on the escalate, because I've done that for the ones that came over from kiosk or did not come up. Not
Yeah,
come up
that you
kiosk.
manually entered. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good,
Now,
good.
did anyone, I didn't ask and I forgot to ask, did anyone get a chain of that? Do you know, are they supposed to, like the employee gets that back, or it just happens?
I don't know.
I could ask. I just didn't. I forgot to.
Yeah, I don't want to answer incorrectly.
Okay.
So I'm just going to
I'll
say,
ask an employee if they
I
got
don't
anything.
know.
There's
And
a
then
couple that would tell me. Yeah.
let me know. We've got an open ticket
Okay.
going on, so that would be good information for us to have here as
Because I don't know
well.
if that starts a flow that lets everybody know, hey, this was approved by Andy Reeves, and they're like, whoa, I don't understand. I thought that was in a long time ago. Yeah.
You know what?
Okay.
Let's take a look at the guidelines just in case it's mentioned in there. So I'm going to go in here in the guidelines under leave management and take a look at escalated approval just to see if there's any mention within it. So I'm just quickly skimming through, and I don't see anything about information or emails being sent. So it's not addressed in the documentation. But let me know, and then I will pass that on to the SSDT and have them update the documentation so that we're all on the same page and we know if an email goes out or not. Thank you. Good question, Andy. Oh, and I see we've got something in chat. Oh, Tracy also wants to be added to the email sent when you escalate approve. Oh, no, she does. She's not adding. She's giving us new information. Tracy. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Sorry. She's saying, yes, emails are sent when you escalate approvals. And Tracy, do you know if that goes to just the one that initiated, or does it also inform the approvers that would have been in that group chain? Just curious if you happen to know. Okay. No, I'm looking in chat and I don't see any typing going on, so she may not know, but I appreciate that. Good, good information. Thank you. All right, and on to the next question. Anybody else have some questions we can address here? Anybody? Okay. I did send out an email on Tuesday after our session with the non-AESOP districts. I'm not sure if you guys got that or had a chance to look through it, but let me bring up what was in here. Just because I wanted to review, oh, and it's not opening here. So let me just go straight to the document itself. Just to show you in case you didn't get a chance to look at it. This is something you may want to pass on to the individuals in your district regarding functionality. Can you see the PowerPoint that came up? Lori, do you see? Okay.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
thank you, Roxanne. All right. So I did want to mention that the developers were conscious of making the user interface for the ESS application non-static. So it can change to the different screen in which you're viewing it on. So it doesn't matter if it's a computer, a tablet, or a phone. You should be able to take action on the ESS application the same way. In fact, I was at the dentist yesterday and put in my 6-month follow-up appointment right from the dentist chair while I was on my phone there. So what I've done is actually save ESS as a home button. It's not an app, but I save the web page as a button on my iPhone home screen. So I just wanted you guys to be aware that that is an option, and it looks like my PowerPoint is also not cooperating for us well here so that you guys can see. Just love when technology works the way it's intended to. Let me close and reopen this. Sorry, everybody. All right. Okay. So now you can see here, I gave this to our users here at OME-RESA. It might be something that you want to do as well. I had a QR code in here for the homepage for the ESS application for OME-RESA. I took that out because nobody wants to go to OME-RESA's ESS application, but I have a QR code for a website that you can use to make QR codes. So you can give this to your users. They can then open up the ESS application right on their phone. And then if they have an Apple device, they'll touch right here. I can show on the next screen this little share button. You navigate to the website, touch your little share button, and then scroll down to add to home screen. And when you do that, now you have a little icon that appears on the home page of your phone. And when you touch that, it opens up your internet browser and takes you straight to the ESS login page. So that's something really handy. If you have an Android device, instead of that share button, you just tap these little 3 buttons, 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and then touch add to home screen. I don't have a screenshot of that because I don't use Android. So I didn't have a device, but I do use Apple. So that's how it works for Apple. So that's something that maybe users will find friendly. The other thing I mentioned earlier in setting up my default start and end time is everybody can access their own user profile and they can put in their default username. They can choose to opt out of leave request emails. If somebody is a notified read only and they don't want to be, they can choose to elect not to receive emails, or they don't want to receive their own emails for some reason. I don't know why, but if you didn't want emails, you could choose to opt out of the email communication by checking that box. You can also put your application in dark mode. So what I mean by that is from here, my personal page, Brianne's profile, I can go here and select dark mode, and now my eyes can rest easy because everything's dark, not eye straining. Maybe I don't like looking at the white light. That's an option. There I can request to opt out of the leave request emails, and then we do not have any districts using the timesheet module, so that piece is not relevant. But users can also see here what roles they have. Almost everybody's going to say just user. But for you guys that are actually exporting leaves, you want to make sure that you have that leave manager option in here so that you can export leave requests into USPS. If not, go edit or have your treasurer edit your user and add that role. And then you can add your start and stop default times. The other piece in here, oh, and that's what it looks like, custom links. Within OME-RESA's homepage, I added a couple custom links here. So this is a really good opportunity to add links to your handbooks, your handbook for employees or your academic handbook. If you have a web page with your academic calendar, your school web page. So right here, I've got OME-RESA's homepage. This is our employee internal service management one, our staff site that we use, and then also a link to our Duo page so that you can see what applications you have tied into Duo. To add these custom links on here, there's a little menu on the side here, custom link. You can manage your custom links, and all you have to do is hit the create button, paste your URL in there, name it what you'd like, and then tell it what order it should display on the screen. So that was an option in kiosk, but not a lot of districts had used that. I see Tracy says she just added the timesheet configuration. She's planning to do some trial and error and possible implementation of timesheets for their employees. So that's great. Awesome, Tracy. I know I have another district interested in that as well. So let me make note of that, and any questions, concerns you have along the way, let me know. And there is actually out on the SSDT wiki or YouTube page, I believe. And if you go to YouTube and just type in SSDT, you can find this SSDT channel. And there's some playlists. And there's a playlist specifically for ESS. I want to view the full playlist. There is a demo of the timesheet module out there, timesheet preview. And it's nice, easy viewing. It's only an hour and 20 minutes long. But if you wanted to view that to help yourself through, that is there for you as well. So you can always utilize that. Oh, and there's Michelle talking. Hi, Michelle. All right. So great. Good to know. Timesheets. Okay.
Brianne,
Yes.
I'm thinking about this as you're saying, viewing
Mhm.
that. Will this, I know you're recording this, will this be available if I wanted to show a few people in central office this Zoom today?
Um, Yeah, we have a YouTube channel for OME-RESA, but I do not have access to upload to that the
Okay.
same way that we upload videos to our website from our trainings. But if you guys have no objection, I will have Angie, our assistant director, upload it to our website under the fiscal area so that the video is there for you.
Yeah, there was one specifically. I wanted Betsy to see this.
Okay.
She wasn't
Hi,
able to.
Betsy.
Yeah.
Keep us out of the Ohio River, please.
Yes.
All right. Uh, If anybody does have any objections to this video being shared and you're not comfortable mentioning it here to anybody, go ahead and email me directly or put in a ticket. If I do not receive any objections this afternoon, I will have Angie upload the video to our website, and then I'll send the link out to everybody. So thank you. Okay. Any other questions at this point? Okay. We only have a minute left, so I just want to give you guys a heads up on a process that's going to be implemented here shortly. And I know that you're all really big fans of Duo and the multi-factor authentication piece. And I say that sarcastically. However, I will say it's just a moment of inconvenience to tap your watch or tap your UB key to get through Duo, when the opposite end of that could be your district being sued for millions of dollars and having to pay for student background checks or credit reports for the next 30 years. So, I mean, we have to try and keep that in mind. It can be a slight pain, but there's a huge advantage to it. That said, there's a lot of exposure here with the ESS application, because pay stubs are in here, W-2s are in here, and supervisors and fiscal office can see information on other users in here. So I actually have a meeting this afternoon with our tech department, and we will be implementing Duo security with ESS, but not for everybody. So you don't need to worry about union grievances with your teachers or custodians. It's not going to be all users. All users can only see just their information. What we're talking about is the fiscal employees, those within your office that have access to oversee other people's information and other data. There will be communication coming out as soon as we develop the process for this, but we're going to tie ESS into Active Directory and Duo, just like the other redesign applications. So in USAS, USPS, and inventory, you have to go through the second verification, multi-factor verification. Coming soon, by the end of October, we'll have the same thing in place for the ESS application too. So I can hear the groans from afar. I'm sorry, but again, it's for security's sake and big picture mitigating risks is the main thing. Not just for OME-RESA risk exposure, but your district risk exposure. We take that pretty seriously. So we want to make sure that we have a fair balance between convenience and security. And I know tomorrow our information security specialist here is going out to another district for their professional development day and giving a presentation on school security, cybersecurity threats. And I believe in that he's including AI and some other various things. If you were ever interested in that for your district, just know that option's there, and you can always contact the information security specialist here, Jerry Neidel, and I'm sure he would be willing to come out to your district with the same presentation as well. So it's a good way to fill in some of those vacant slots on your PD menu if you had those gaps you were trying to fill. So. All right, that takes us up towards the noon hour now. Does anybody have any last questions that they'd like to work in here? Please, now is the time. Okay. I hope that this was oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
With that Duo
Mhm.
authentication, is there a way, like, I know in our office, we all say it automatically times us out at different times. Is that something we can contact you guys about to see what that is and if it can be adjusted for people or anything like that?
I think the first line of contact would be your district tech coordinator,
Okay.
because they have the option to adjust settings for your district. They manage that. So if there's a timeout window, um, they would be the ones that have the ability to adjust that locally. And if they can't, then they would need to put in a ticket to OME-RESA, and then that would be a decision from our security manager here, Matt. Totally blanked here. Matt Emily would make that determination if the timeout window was sufficient or not, if that needed to be adjusted on our side. So that's nothing that I could change. I'd recommend starting with your tech coordinator, and then if they can't do it or don't have the answer, ask them to put in a ticket to our IT department here.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
question. Of course. Any other questions? Okay. So I see thanks from Andy and Roxanne. I'd like to thank both of you too, as well as everybody. I really appreciate the participation here. I had some bullet pointed things that I was going to go through, but I think what we did instead, by talking through the questions that you guys have, hopefully we had some valuable information and somebody can walk away with some information that makes the process a little better for you from here on out. That said, if this is something that you think works and there's more information to dig into, I'm absolutely open to the idea of having weekly or monthly roundtables for ESS. And then we'd also like to do the same thing for USPS and USAS down the road as well, where we can have an open forum for everybody to sit around and learn from each other. Because I think you guys are the experts. You're using the applications. I'm just in the documentation and trying to problem solve. You know how it actually works. So you learn best from each other too. So I thank you all very much. And that said, I wish everybody a wonderful day, and just keep submitting those feedback requests and enhancement ideas, and we'll try to make ESS the best application it can be for you guys. It can only get better from here, right? All right. Well, thank you everybody very much, and have a great day.